Brothers, it is no longer 1983. The date is now August 16th in the year 2058. We are here at Alderon State College, and I would like to welcome you to this, the 94th Leadership Seminar of Lambda Chi Alpha. Today we are fortunate to have with us one of the oldest living members of Lambda Chi Alpha, Joe R. Hammer, who will be celebrating his 105th birthday this December. Joe is a former administrative staff member of the fraternity, having served as the Director of Alumni Affairs and Conference Coordinator during the early 1980s. Joe is a graduate of the ancient Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana, and has devoted much of his life to Lambda Chi Alpha. Will you please join me in welcoming Joe Hammer?
Thank you, Jeff. 75 years ago, I never would have imagined that I would be standing here today in the year 2058. Modern medicine being what it is, however, 105 isn't all that unusual, and I'm still kicking, or at least able to lift my leg. As you know, next year, 2059, is the fraternity's 105th anniversary, our sesquicentennial. However, I'm not here to talk about our 150th. I've been asked to speak about the 75th anniversary in 1984. Yeah, I was there. I had the honor of being on the fraternity's administrative staff at the time. My title was Director of Alumni Affairs and Conference Coordinator. I also had the extreme pleasure of being the coordinator of the 75th anniversary. Don't know if either one makes me qualified to speak to you today, but I did have a chance to see how the fraternity celebrated its anniversary on a general fraternity level. So I guess that makes me somewhat qualified. I've been a member of this fraternity for 85 years. I was initiated way back in 1973. Seen a lots of changes in my lifetime. Why, I remember seeing the first moon landing when I was in high school. Really something. And it was, forgive me, I sometimes ramble a little bit. Anyway, who would have thought that we'd have chapters on university satellite stations and over 500,000 members? Really something. But back to 1983 and the 75th anniversary. I gave a speech at the leadership seminar that year, just like I'm doing now at the 94th leadership seminar. I'll bet that some of your grandfathers or great-grandfathers were there. In fact, I bet some of you are fourth-generation Lambda Chi's. I remember we had a really good bunch of brothers there. They took the 75th seriously. They realized the importance of doing something as a chapter to celebrate our anniversary. They helped plan all kinds of special events, banquets and that kind of stuff. They worked hard to increase their knowledge of their local and general fraternity's history. Some chapters started historical files or established an archive. Some decided to find a large number of lost alumni, a project which was given a lot of emphasis during that 83-84 academic year. Probably most of you don't know this, The theme of the 75th anniversary was Celebrate Our Heritage, Tomorrow's Foundation. You know, I believe that theme could be used even today. Still has as much meaning. It seemed important. No, it was important to acknowledge the 75 years from 1909 to 1984, just as it's important to acknowledge the 75 years from 1984 to 2059. Back in '83, Lambda Chi Alpha was the third largest fraternity in the world. We had 220 chapters and over 165,000 members. May seem kind of small now. Third place isn't such a big deal now that we're first. But I've always believed it was those brothers back in '83 who helped us reach where we are now. They contributed a great deal toward where we are today. Now, I'm not going to give you that standard line, things were better when I was in school. I guess I really don't know if things were better back then. But although I'm not in school anymore, I know that many things are the same. The brothers in 1983 had to work at recruitment, just like you. They had to work out problems of getting along together and working out their differences, just like you. They had problems paying for school, just like you. In fact, in 1983, tuition at MIT reached $15,000. I understand they're still one of the highest at $85,000 a year. No, in many ways, you're really not any different than the undergraduates in 1983. So I bet you're wondering why I think they contributed so much. They were normal, fun-loving undergraduate Lambda Chis, but they had vision. They took the theme, Celebrate Our Heritage, Tomorrow's Foundation, to heart. No, those brothers were much like you, but they realized that the fraternity's heritage was based upon the work of brothers like Jack Mason, Duke Flad, Doc Dergali, George Spazek, the executive director back then, and Jeff Gunn, the Grand High Alpha at that time. But even more important than these great men, the 83 undergraduates understood that the fraternity reflected the work of countless others, the work and devotion of thousands of alumni and undergraduates, members who contributed to the success of the fraternity's first 75 years. These countless and often nameless brothers laid the foundation from 1909 to 1983, the foundation which made Lambda Chi Alpha what it was in 1984. One of the goals of the 75th anniversary was to try and give the undergraduates and alumni a perspective of the fraternity's heritage. We wanted to show that our heritage is not stagnant. Like any organization composed of human beings, Lambda Chi Alpha is really a living entity. It's not the coat of arms. It's not the pedagogus. It's not the cross and crescent. Lambda Chi Alpha is you. We are Lambda Chi Alpha. Our history, our heritage is like a river. A river flows. It is one body of water, though composed of billions of separate droplets. A river is continuous. What happens upstream will dramatically affect what is going to happen downstream. If there's a log jam upstream, the water level downstream falls. If the river becomes completely dammed, downstream the river will trickle away to nothing. You know, the first 75 years of the fraternity's heritage was something. When you stop to think about what took place, it's sometimes amazing that we made it at all. During those 75 years, some fraternities didn't make it. Yes, there was a great deal that took place those first 75 years. From 1909 to 1983, there were 2 world wars, the Korean War, and Vietnam. There was the Great Depression, a number of recessions, and double-digit inflation. There was a great political strife during many of those first 7 decades, particularly in the 60s and early 70s. The fraternity rode with the tide, with the counterculture, the drug culture, the me, the now, and the with it generations. From 1909 to 1983, the world and the fraternity with it went from biplanes to transcontinental jets. Those jets cut the time it took Lindbergh to fly across the Atlantic Ocean from 24 hours to less than 3. I would guess that most of you got here today through laser transports, so you're crossing the Atlantic in seconds. We went from a highly heavy industry-oriented society to a highly technological and microchip-oriented society. That transition alone represents the difference between this microchipped era and today's plasmatic-oriented society. But through all of that, the fraternity survived and grew. We had members with vision, members who continually laid the foundation for tomorrow's future. We grew, reaching to meet the needs of our members, and I'm proud to say we continue to do so 150 years later. I believe, however, that in 1983 there was another contributing factor, something really neat. Oh, I sometimes forget you don't know the old lingo. Neat was something that was good, exciting. I guess today you would call it tech. Well, it was something that was really tech. Those brothers realized that the Fraternity Standards program, introduced at the 19th Leadership Seminar, was going to help them lay tomorrow's foundation. The brothers there knew the program would help make this fraternity what it is today in the year 2058. Of course, Lambda Chi Alpha had standards prior to 1983. We were founded upon standards. They're outlined in the Constitution and statutory code. But the standards program was really specific, something you could grab hold of and work with. They really worked hard, those undergraduates, to make their chapters the best they could be. They worked hard to acknowledge their heritage, a heritage based upon standards. They took that heritage and those standards and made things happen, good things. You have a great challenge to accept. To be responsible for the continued success, growth, and stability of any organization is a tremendous challenge. But just as in 1983, I have the utmost confidence in your ability to celebrate our heritage and lay tomorrow's foundation. I mentioned a little earlier that I thought the theme from 1983 would still apply today. However, I think I'd like to change that old 75th anniversary theme just a bit. Today, I want you to celebrate your heritage, for you are tomorrow's foundation. I thank you.